Yo, what is up guys? Welcome to another Wild Rift video, and in today's video I'll be playing Galio in the mid lane. Now let me just tell you about Galio. This is, in my opinion, one of the most disgusting champions to play against, if the Galio is good. Because Galio is tanky, Galio deals insane damage, Galio is just, he has such big CC, but you really have to play him the right way. And let me tell you that I really feel like with Galio, his build is probably the most important. And also the runes that I'm using, look at the runes that I'm using. It may look super weird, but I'll explain to you how it works. So in the beginning part of the video, I'm going to explain to you how to build Galio. There's timestamps in the description if you want to skip to the gameplay immediately. So let's talk about how to build Galio. Galio is tanky, and I'll tell you when to pick Galio in the gameplay part of the video, but basically he's good against magic damage. So what you want to do is you kind of want to build damage and HP, because you're gonna be able you're gonna have a lot of resistance against magic damage. That's how you want to draft Galio as well. So Rod of Ages is perfect. Perfect. In the early game, you're gonna get this item before the dragon, always, otherwise you suck. This item is literally 2,800 gold. It's the cheapest item that you could get, like for a carry, except for Awakened Soulstealer, but no one builds that item. So you build this one first, then you build boots. Just build the boots of speed, and the second boots that you want to get is, I would seriously say, always Ionian Boots of Lucidity, always, because this is going to allow you to spam your first ability especially, but also of course your ultimates, your other abilities as well, but it's mainly about your first ability. Ionian Boots of Lucidity, always. Maybe if the enemy is full attack damage, you could get a plated steel caps, but Ionian Boots is just perfect for Galio. So the second item that I go for, I see some people go for Rabadon's Death Cap, but no. Liandry's is better, and the reason for that is, first of all, HP. As I said, you want to be beefy, you want to be tanky on Galio. Liandry's gives you 250 HP, it gives you damage, and it gives you a lot of burning damage. Like as you can see, empowered attacks deal 1% of an enemy's max health as bonus magic damage. This damage doubles if they're slowed or immobilized. So of course, when you use your second ability, third ability, ultimate, all these abilities are immobilizing effects. So your burn is gonna deal double damage, guys. These are the things. Like you may not know that about Liandry's, but it's double the amount of damage, and it's pretty big. It's 2% of the enemy's max health on top of the damage that you're already dealing. And imagine if you hit 3 enemies at the same time, it's significant. It's definitely significant damage. And this will happen every time you poke them with your first ability. So at this point, you're already incredibly powerful on Galio when you get the Liandry's. So after the Liandry's, it's situational. I put out Rabadon's hair because this is generally what you want to get, because after Rabadon you're gonna have the amount of ability power that you're gonna have is insane, because Rod of Ages is gonna give you 120 ability power when you fully stacked it, Liandry's another 70, and then Rabadon, it gives you 130, and all the ability power that you have is gonna be increased by 40% as well. Like at this point you're gonna have like 550 up or 600 ability power. That's insane. That's a lot of ability power, guys. But there's a but. If the enemies have a lot of magic resist, which they likely won't have because there's really not a lot of magic resist items, but if they do, like if they have a Darius with a Force of Nature and then an Alistar also with a magic resist, then you actually want to build a Void Staff as your third item. But this is only in 2% of your games where there's 2 tanks that are building magic resist. But in all of your other games, Rabadon's Death Cap. Also, if the enemy has a Sona, for example, you don't want to build the Green Book. No. All you build is the Oblivion Orb after your Liandry's. So you put the Oblivion Orb here, and then you build the Rabadon's Death Cap. Just make sure you buy Oblivion Orb first, because it's going to give you 40% Grievous Wounds, which is really good, because Galio deals a lot of AoE damage, so you're going to be giving Grievous Wounds to a lot of enemies, right? This is really important, actually. What was that noise? Jesus. Did you guys hear that, or was it? Jesus. Okay, sorry for that. By the way, for your enchantments, you don't want to get Redemption. This is for support Galio. For mid lane Galio, you always want to get Protobelt. You Protobelt and you use your second ability. It's really powerful. So always Void Staff as your fourth item. Always. There is no exception. You just always want to get it. It's always going to be worth it because of the amount of ability power that you already have, which is it's going to be almost 600, almost 700 ability power when you get the Void Staff. So it's always going to be worth it to get a Void Staff. And then as your last item, the Green Book. I mean, I see some people go for the Infinity Orb, but honestly, I personally prefer the Green Book. But if you're snowballing the game and the enemy doesn't have a lot of healing, you could also get the Infinity Orb to just one-shot enemies. It's definitely also powerful, but you know, Green Book is honestly going to be more useful as your 5th item in most games, because there is going to be healing in the game involved, right? Or lifesteal, supports that heal, you know, there's going to be healing. Oh, by the way, about this item, let me look it up here. Crystalline's Reflector. You could, I mean, this item just doesn't fit in Galio's build, honestly. See, the thing is, if you're against a Z, you could potentially get this as your first item, but it's just, it reduces your damage. So, you know, you could buy this on Galio. I just really don't recommend it. Like maybe as your second item. See, if the enemy is full attack damage, you do want to get the item. So if they're full attack damage, you want to get Crystalline's Reflector instead of the Liandry's second. It's going to reduce your damage by a little bit, but it's going to compensate for all the armor that you're going to be getting. But otherwise, just get the Liandry's, you know, or just get the Liandry's. So let's now talk about the runes. And let me just explain. First of all, Aftershock. You have so many stunning, so many immobilizing abilities. You're just really gonna get the effect of the Aftershock. It really fits Galio's playstyle as well, because when you engage with your 3rd ability and taunt the enemies, all the enemies are gonna be hitting you. But what the Aftershock is gonna do, it's gonna give you bonus armor and magic resist. So, you know, even though the enemy is hitting you with basic attacks, you are gonna be taking reduced damage, which is really, really good. See, look, here it gets interesting. For the majority of the time, I played Galio with Brutal, because I was like, yeah, you know, or I sometimes even played him with Gathering Storm, because I was thinking like, yeah, I'm going for conditioning. I just want to reach the late game. It's true, with Galio late game, you're actually really strong. But let me tell you guys a thing. You know, sometimes I would even play Weakness, and now what I do, and let me just tell you the full purpose of it, is I play Champion. And I know if you die, you lose Champion stacks. And I know I'm using Conditioning, which is useless in the early game. But let me tell you the main purpose of me using Champion. Your first ability. In the early game, your first ability is going to be dealing so much damage with Champion. It literally deals 8% more damage, and you can easily poke the enemy in lane, and Champion, on top of your damage that you already have, is going to make that poke even bigger, thus allowing you to have a pretty easy lane with Galio. And this works, guys. I'll show you more of it during the gameplay part, but this definitely works, and it's so damn powerful. So for my 3rd rune, I go for Conditioning, because, as I said, when you reach that later game, you just want to be tanky and also dealing a lot of damage. See, you already have Aftershock, which gives you bonus armor and magic resist depending on how much armor and magic resist you already have. And Conditioning gives you even more armor and magic resist. So you're not only going to buff yourself and, you know, the armor and magic resist, you're also going to be buffing the Aftershock effect. It just all scales perfectly with each other. You don't want to go for Hunter Titan. You don't want to go for Second Wind. You don't want to go for Boneplate. You don't want to go for any of them. Adaptive Carapace, no. It's just, no. In the early game, you don't really want to be fighting. Just poke the enemy with your first ability and get to the late game with the Conditioning. And as your 4th rune, Sweet Tooth, because Sweet Tooth is broken. So for my spells, I use Flash and Barrier. See, I see some people use Ignite. The main reason that I use Barrier is because I use Champion already, because, you know, I do a lot of damage and I kind of don't want to die in the early game. So I use Barrier, and I just really felt like Barrier is more useful than Ignite, because surviving the early game is honestly better than just getting Ignite. It's like, it's kind of hard to get kills on Galio with Ignite. I mean, no, what I'm saying doesn't make sense. Basically, I just prefer Barrier. I'm not saying Ignite is bad, I just prefer Barrier. So enough about this, let's get into the gameplay. Alright, on to the gameplay. So, okay. Let's immediately start talking about how you draft Galio. I immediately want to start talking about this, because this is actually a very important thing. Galio is basically always good, but he can be broken. When is he broken? If the enemies have a lot of ability. How do I say this? Ability power melee champions. And he already counters ability power champions, but not super hard, because as you can see, I'm getting demolished by the Annie. Even though she's ability power, I'm getting demolished in the laning matchup, because he kind of struggles against ranged matchups. But basically, as I said, when you reach the mid-late game, he is really good against melee ability power champions, like Gragas, like Evelyn, like Katarina, like Akali, like Fizz. all these champions he is good against. So this game, I would say, is not the ideal game to pick Galio, but I don't want to show you guys an ideal situation because that's just boring, right? I'm playing against a pretty hard matchup, but it's still fine. And here the Annie was just kind of overextending, and you know, I saw my Rengar and I was baiting him. I baited the Annie. I used my taunt to taunt her into my minions right there, and Rengar was there. Free kill. It was a free kill. And this is just a general tip. Always look at your map. You know, always look at your map. Check when your jungler is ready to gank, or check when your other laners are trying to gank. And if that's the case, you want to make sure they get that kill. So what I did there, of course, you know, I hit my poke. I hit my second ability to taunt her into my minions. My minions dealt a lot of damage and she died. It was really easy. Okay, so basically Galio, if the enemy picks Akali or Katarina mid lane, you always want to pick Galio. It's just such a hard counter. You always want to pick Galio. It's going to be S++ tier in the lane. Look here, yet again, I go in because my Rengar is here. Easy kill. Easy peasy kill. And Galio is so good at ganks. Like when your jungler is ganking your lane, Galio has perfect abilities to just, you know, to allow the gank, because you engage with the third ability, you taunt with your second ability, and you deal damage with your first ability, and then you deal even more damage with your passive, right? It's just all perfect. Here, look at this. Boom. Like the CC that you have is so perfect on Galio. It's really, really amazing if you play around it correctly. But there is a but, guys. You have to be careful with the CC as well. It's true that you have really good CC. You know, when you go in, you have CC. But there is a thing. After you go in, of course, you get the aftershock, which makes you tanky for 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, sorry. But what happens after your aftershock? And what happens after you've already used up all your CC? You guessed it right, you die. You have 0 survivability after all your engaging and everything like that. You're gonna get absolutely demolished when that happens. So be wary when you do a full engage, because it can be very dangerous. Oh, and here I go in with my ultimate. Secure that easy peasy kill. And of course the Galio ultimate is like, I really love this ability. First of all, it's really good for ganking. You know, when you go to top lane or bot lane, it's really good for ganking. Oh, yeah. Secondly, it's really good for jungle fights. When your jungler is fighting in the jungle, you can just help him out with your ultimate, right? It's really, really easy to do. Third of all, and this is the thing that not that many people use, it gives all the allies in your ultimate radius magic shield. Now this can obviously be useful when the enemy Katarina is doing a full engage, for example, right? Like if the enemy Katarina is doing a full engage with your ultimate, what you can do is you just use your ultimate on your allies. They're all gonna get magic shield. And of course, you know, like they're gonna tank up all that Katarina damage. And this is such a powerful tool from his ultimate that I just don't see that many people use. And I don't understand why. Because the magic shield is so big, and if you use it in the right scenario, it can mean so much for your team, guys. It's really, really big. So, okay, let's now talk about me using Champion Rune on Galio. Basically, you just poke in lane with your first ability. And now you guys ask me, how do I poke with my first ability? How do I reliably hit it? So let me tell you, let me give you a few tips on how you can pretty much always hit your first ability. First of all, Galio's first ability is really easy to hit with auto aim. Now, I'm not saying you're always gonna hit it with auto aim, but when you're in the early game, let me tell you why. Actually, test your knowledge. Why am I telling you that in the early game, auto aiming your first ability is gonna be not a guaranteed hit, but it's gonna give you a very big chance to hit the enemy? Why? Why, especially in the early game, is auto aiming your first ability very useful? Why? Let me know in the comments. Think about it. Really think about it, and you'll know it. You guys got this one. You guys definitely got this one. So let me immediately give you another tip on how to easily hit your first ability in the lane, during the laning matchup. So what you do is you look at your minion wave, right? You look at your minion wave, and when a minion gets low, especially a cannon minion, you're gonna know that the enemy is gonna go for it, right? Like the enemy wants the minion. So it's gonna be like the enemy is gonna have a predictable path, because they're gonna run towards the minion and try to get it. What you do then, of course, you aim your first ability exactly in the place you think they're gonna move. And the enemy has two choices here. First of all, they go for the minion and they take all the damage. Secondly, they abandon the minion and they don't take any damage. Both of these situations are big wins for you, because in the first situation you deal a lot of damage, and in the second situation you make the enemy miss gold and experience. This is both worth it. And you always have to use your first ability when you know that the enemy is gonna go for the minion. You always, there is no exception. It's just so powerful. You should definitely always do it. Oh, the evidence is so low. Where is he? Oh, there he is. I flashed, but I can't reach him. I did actually reach him, but the Braum saved him beautifully with the heal. Oh god, I have a barrier. But I'm not using my barrier, as you can see. I'm saving it for last second to bait them as much as I can. But I just got a disgusting little kill on the Vayne. This is the annoying Galio, guys. He can just do that with his first ability. But what I just taught you about laning with Galio. Oh, yeah, test your knowledge. So why is it really good to auto-aim your first ability in the early game? The reason is so simple that it's probably gonna make you cry. Ah, what is that? What? How do I turn that off, man? Jesus. Oh, okay. I'll look into that after this video, but the reason is so simple that it's, as I said, it's gonna make you cry if you didn't get it. Why? Because the enemy doesn't have boots yet. In the early game, enemies are not gonna have boots yet. So, their capability of dodging is way lower than the late game, of course. Because in the late game, they all have boots, and it's gonna be way easier for them to dodge your first ability. So the very simple reason on why auto-aiming your first ability is gonna be good in the early game. I'm not saying you should always do it. It's just gonna be good. Like, I do it like 70% of the times in the early game. Keep in mind, in the early game. Because the enemy is gonna have a really hard time to run away from it, because they're so slow, because they have no boots. It's just so simple, guys, but it works. It just works. That's what makes it so good. Here we just really overextended. Look at this. We gave them so much gold. Oh, that's not good. This is not good. Jinx got a double shutdown. Oh, she didn't. Our Aurelia just killed her. Wow, that's impressive. Damn, but that still sucks. I gave the Jinx like what, 800 gold or something? I don't know how much it was, but I gave her a lot of gold, and that's never good. You never want to give Jinx kills like that. Okay. Sorry. Let's now talk about the way that I like to use my third ability and my second ability. So the third ability, mainly you want to use it like basically after your ultimate, right? When you engage with your ultimate, knock up an enemy, it's going to be a free hit on your third ability because the enemy is knocked up. So it's always going to be a free hit on your third ability because you can just immediately charge in. And the other way to use the third ability is just if an enemy is stunned, rooted, things like that. Like if my Varus ults an enemy, they're going to be rooted for 2 seconds. What does that mean? It's going to be it's going to be easy for me to hit my third ability on top of that. So the third ability is a really good chain CCing ability. Yeah, and then after that you also use your second ability. Look at this, we're inting again. Look at this, they killed all of us. This is so not good. Like we're actually allowing the enemies to make a comeback. Jinx is almost level 11 while I'm not even level 11. Oh, what are you trying? Yeah, they get a turret. This is just horrible. Like we're really throwing the game right here. But the Jinx just completely inted right there, and we're still fine, as you can see. That like if the enemies just disengaged there, went back, bought some items, they would have been fine. But for some reason they stayed, and they thought that Rengar can't just kill them with his ultimate, right? It's just like they made a stupid mistake. This Nab team, I mean, you also made the mistake, bro. It's not only your team. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this video, give it a like. It really helps the channel, even though you think it may not. So if you want to support the channel, just you know, give it a like. Yeah, that's what I had to say. Yeah, here, you know, I'm getting to the late game, and at this point, when you're at like 10 minutes, you're just gonna be stacking up your what is that item called? the tanky rune, the third rune. I forgot what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about, right? You're going to be stacking up the armor and the magic resist. You're going to be stacking up your damage. And at the point you get the Rabadon's death cap, it should pretty much be game over. Unless the enemy has really fat champions. Here we're throwing yet again, so stupid. Because at that point, as I said, you're gonna have like 500-600 ability power, and like your first ability is gonna be dealing around 40% or maybe even 50% of the enemy's HP's damage. And you know, that's when you know that game is over. When a Galio deals that much damage, you know it's over, right? So, and on top of that, you're also tanky. That's what makes it so beautiful to play Galio. You're because you build a lot. That's how this works so well, because your build gives you a lot of HP. You know, your items give a lot of HP. Ooh, look at that Vayne though. He doesn't even care about my HP. Oh my god. And then your items also give you a massive amount of ability power. Boom. Oh. I'm just dealing so much damage, man. It's crazy. And the other thing that's super good about late game Galio is his passive. See, in the early game, every 5 seconds you have that empowered boom attack, you know, where he smashes his hands on the ground. But in the mid game, it becomes 4 seconds. And in the late game, it becomes 3 seconds. So every 3 seconds, you're gonna have that empowered attack, which deals massive damage. Here, I kind of sacrificed myself for the turret, which is it worth? I gave them a lot of gold again. But we took the inhibited turret, so yeah, it's fine. It's definitely fine. And now I got my Rabadon's death cap. I really hope I show in this video how much ability power I have, because you should really see how much I have. Do I? Go on, click on the button. Click on the ability power button. Please. I'm not clicking it, am I? Oh, I went for Infinity Orb here, because I was kind of snowballing this game. Like, look at this game. We have 34 kills and the enemy has 26. Even though this is feeling like a steamroll game to me and to the viewer maybe, it's not a steamroll game because these enemies have really good late game champions. They have Annie, they have Evelyn, they have Vayne, and they have Jinx. Like, this is not a win, guys. This is not a guaranteed win. Even though I'm super fat, it's not a guaranteed win at all. At all, especially now that Rengar died. Like, they can just get the dragon. We just really screwed up in this game. We're really screwing up. Oh, look at my damage. Look at my damage. 40% of Evelyn's HP just from my first ability right there. How insane is that? Oh, look at the damage. Oh yes, baby. And I'm full HP. I'm full HP, by the way. Look at this, look at this, look at this! Is he dead? From the burn? Yeah, he's dead. I saved him. I just saved the Aurelia with my ultimate. So as I said, this is yet another way to use your ultimate to save your teammates from ability power. Did you see that? Like, it helped her so much that it just completely consumed all of the burst damage of Evelyn, and she was able to escape with like 1 HP. Like that's the other way. Here I showed it. 552 ability power. 552 ability power with 3.5 items. 552. How insane is that, guys? How much ability power is that? Well, it's 552 if you want to be the annoying dude that's like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Oh man. By the way, guys, I have some support videos ready for you guys, and these are some lit videos. I made sure that I have some really nice support videos. It's not your boring type of support where I just, you know, play support and help my ADC. No. It's the type of support where I actually carry the game, and those are the support videos that I make. You know, like, if you're the type of viewer, which I understand, that doesn't watch support videos, you know, which I definitely understand, because I wouldn't watch support videos either, and I don't, to be honest. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but you should really just watch one of my support videos. Really, like, just do it. Just, you know, especially the Janna ones, the Alistar ones, just watch one, and you'll see that my way of playing support is really, like, it's not, oh my god, look at the damage, by the way. It's really different from your normal support, and that's because I believe that there is more behind the support role than just supporting your team. You can, like, actually make changes in the game. You can actually do a lot of damage as well, and just you know, really allow your team to carry the game. And it's not just healing your team and giving them barriers. No, it's really making the difference. Baiting the enemy. Just, there is so much to it. I just really recommend you to watch it, because I'm going to be uploading some support videos very soon as well. And those are some good videos, really, that I have ready. Yeah, you know, I'm just going to push another turret, because why the hell not? Boom. Look at that. My passive deals 1000 damage to turrets, and I don't even have 4 items yet. Galio is obviously a really fast turret pusher as well with his passive. It deals 1000 damage to a turret. I can just get the turret right now if I wanted to, but I would die for it. And yeah, here, look at the turret. Boom. We all died. Oh my god, we just all died. Oh, but we got every single inhibitor tower. So it's worth it. We all died, but we got every single inhibitor turret. And you know, let me tell you that it's always worth to die if you get all the inhibitor turrets. Unless, of course, the enemy can just straight up finish the game in mid lane, which they cannot in this game. But you know, it's always gonna be worth it. Oh, by the way, I have 4 items, not 3.5. So with 4.5 items, I was dealing 1000 damage. Yeah, that's important to understand. And by the way that you can come back from losing 3 inhibitors is... yeah, you can't. I mean, I've only seen one game where there was a comeback with all inhibitors taken. And that was with Elder Infernal Dragon, with Vayne. And it was just... like, let me tell you how it went. 2 of the champions were clearing out waves. And I think it was my team. We won a 3 versus 5 because we had a Vayne. Like, 2 of our teammates had to clear out waves, otherwise the game would have just ended. And we won a 3 versus 5, and then we ended through mid lane. That's pretty much the only way that you can win. Or the other way that you can win is taking away pressure by taking enemy inhibitor turrets as well. Like, if you can take enemy inhibitor turrets with Baron, for example, you can take away a lot of your pressure, thus maybe allowing you to still win the game. Because, you know, if you take an inhibitor tower, it literally takes away like all the pressure from a single lane. You still have to deal with 2 other lanes, but it's better than dealing with 3 lanes, right? So yeah, that's kind of how you can still come back. But it's pretty much over if 3 inhibitors have been taken. Pretty much 99% over. Let me just tell you that one. So don't get your hopes up. Boom. I'm gonna make some pizza, man. I'm so hungry. Oh, I'm looking so forward to the pizza. Oh, guys, do you have that feeling when you, like, this is work for me, right? Like, this is work. I definitely enjoy making YouTube videos, but it's work. And I was really hungry before making this video, and I was like, okay, I am just gonna make this video, and I'm gonna eat pizza afterwards. And oh my god, am I looking forward to that pizza right now. Oh, I just want. Oh, okay, let's wrap this video up. I need to eat this pizza, so... okay, I just can't think anymore. I'm so hungry and I want to eat pizza. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, I will see you all in the next HellsDevil video. Bye bye.